Okay, hello everyone. What's good? Welcome to the show. Thanks for coming by for the live showing of STG Weekly, episode 180 on PAWARUMI. This is released in 2018 from an indie developer by the name of Manufacturer 43. Now currently available on PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. So a lot of different platforms there. The game features the Trinity mechanic, which is basically kind of like a rock, paper, scissors style weapon system where you exploit enemy weaknesses, and we'll be getting plenty into the game today, of course, because that's what we do on the show. And we got some awesome guests. Of course, I'm being co-hosted by Soft Drink here.
Hello, everyone.
And we got some great guests here. We got I'll introduce the player first, and with the developer last. Best for last. Fuck, I fucked that up. Anyway, Dr. Light, welcome to the show. You're gonna be you're the world record holder of this game, and you're gonna be talking about PAWARUMI. So welcome to the show, Dr. Light.
Hi everybody, I'm Dr. Light 66. Yeah, I'll be kind of talking about how to not just how to clear the mode, because a lot of people who've played the game have never been able to beat heroic, or it used to be called hard mode, but I'll be kind of talking about how to do that, but also how I got over 100 million points.
Awesome, that's gonna be great. And then we're also joined by MSK, who is one of the main developers of PAWARUMI. So welcome, MSK.
Hello, yeah, my real name is actually Daniel, just in case you want to see my face at the bottom of the website. I'm a programmer, but on Rumi I did a lot of stuff. So this is an indie game, as you said, and thank you for having me. I think the best is actually Dr. Light here. He plays the game way better than me.
Right. Yeah, so guys, we got...
It's funny because a lot of developers, who make the games, they're, you would think that they would be like the best player at the game, but a lot of times I hear from developers that they struggle with the games that they make, or that they have a hard time, beating the games that they make even on the hardest difficulty.
Yeah, it's actually easy to explain because making games and playing games, that's like two different jobs. So I played the game a lot, obviously, and often I'm being asked what's my best score, and I just can't even answer that because while I was making and playing the game was constantly changing, so my score had absolutely no interesting value. And the funny thing that you do is that you usually don't make a game for yourself. So usually when you finish making the game, you just don't play it anymore.
Oh man.
So you get even...
the dev role is right there.
After working on the same projects for years and years and years, probably by the time you get done with everything that you want to do with developing the game, you're probably just like sick of it, basically.
Yeah, kind of. Speaking of working on the game for years and years, MSK, why don't you give us a quick lowdown about kind of how PAWARUMI came to be and what the vision was, like, kind of originally with the game, and you can feel free to talk about the other people on the team as well.
Mm-hmm. So basically, in early 2016, with two friends that were graphic artists at Solo Studio, where we all three used to work, we started talking about making a game. And since I worked on a shoot 'em up before called Shogun Rise of the Renegade, it was on iPhone. I worked on that around 2010, I think. And since I had some experience doing that, and since there were no actual game designer, or we were just two graphic artists and a programmer, so having that experience was already kind of some help about starting a first project as indie developers. And the idea at the start was that this was just supposed to be a small game to start the company. So our plan was to work 8 months on it. So obviously it started, we worked on it for 3 years. because one of the first thing that you notice is that when you get to work on your own game, you don't want to do something boring. You quickly want to do something way better than you started off. And so we made this crazy game with this crazy game mechanics and crazy 3D graphics, just because it was more fun to make that way.
So like that's like the takeaway for me, the one line. We didn't want to make something boring, so there you have it. I like it. Very cool. You could continue
and
if
so
you want to.
Team, we were the three main ones, so that was Alex, Charles, and me, Daniel. And also Greg, a friend of mine that used to work at Ankama Studio, now the makers of Dofus and Wakfu. I don't know if you know those MMORPGs. And also now he works at, and I don't remember the name, the developer that made Dishonored. I don't remember, say something. And he made the music. We all three actually, all four, went to the same school. Alex was just 2 years later, but it's a video game school in Angoulême in France. And yeah, there was also a few more people also from that school, so kind of the mafia school.
Gotcha. So it's a French-made game, is what you're saying here.
You see? Sorry?
It's a French-made game.
Oh, yeah, it's very, very French.
Mm-hmm. Okay. We got the confirmation.
Although the whole setting is a kind of a South American setting, but really the idea was for the universe that the game is set in the future, but like an alternate future, where like the European civilization didn't become the main one. It's not really, let's say, I don't know how to say it better. I'm not a narrative designer or a writer or anything, so expression is not my best thing. And so it's like a future where the Mayans, the Inca, that's not civilizations that disappeared, but instead thrived and kind of conquered the world, and now it's a South American styled world.
That's cool. That's different, you know.
Yeah.
Like
and
that.
So we had that idea that instead of working out of electricity and steam, they evolved in a completely different way. Like there's always those things about the sun god with the Incas, I think. So we thought, okay, this is all about going to be about light, and so that's quite nice that we have the light here. Just thought about that. And so they work with light and gravity. So everything in the game is made of rocks. Like they actually have those big structures, big pyramids that we still kind of wonder how they managed to make that. And so we thought, maybe they just used some kind of mastery of gravity to make big structures and everything out of rocks. And that's actually why the name of the game is so weird. This is two Quechua words that we use. So Quechua is one of the language still used today in South America.
Okay.
Fawai and Rumi, which means to fly, and stone or rock. So like the flying stones, we mashed up the words and ended up with that.
Cool. Yeah, it's a catchy title, to say the least. Very cool.
And so maybe Dr. Light, you'd like to talk about the game system that you ended up mastering like no one else.
I'll do my best. So the game has, you have three different weapons that you can use at any time throughout the game. The game doesn't have any type of power-up system. Like, in most shmups, there'll be, like power-ups that'll be flying around on the screen that you can pick up, or to like make your shot either different, or to make it more powerful, or to add like missiles, or like little ships on the side. But yeah, PAWARUMI, basically you start off and you have them throughout the entire game. You have three different weapons that you can switch to at any time. you basically have a blue laser. It's the blue condor laser. You have, and this is based on a 3-color system because the game uses a color system for its gameplay. So you have the blue laser, which is, and as you switch weapons, you'll notice that your ship actually changes shape to kind of match up with the color weapon that you're using. So you have the blue condor, which is like one long laser. It's actually, and it'll shoot right through anything. So if you have an enemy above another enemy, it'll shoot both of those enemies. It won't just get blocked by the enemy that's in front of the other enemy. But it's also the weakest weapon in the game. You have the blue serpent, which is like a blue you have a green serpent, which is like a green wavy weapon, and it's a little bit like the ripple laser kind of from the Gradius series. Mm-hmm. And then you also have and the most interesting weapon, and the one that I use the most throughout the game, especially against bosses. I mean, I use all 3 weapons, but the one that's most powerful and that gives you really interesting angles to shoot enemies at is the Red Jaguar homing missiles. And as you use that, there'll be kind of like a red spotlight in front of you, or like a red homing light.
Yeah.
And any enemy that's within that light, and you can angle it so you can shoot enemies that aren't directly right above you. You can kind of shoot enemies at an adjacent angle. The red missiles will home in and automatically hit any enemy that's within that red light.
Okay.
And so for the game, you have the game. You don't have lives in the game. When you play the game, you just have 1 life, and if you die, it's game over, and you have to start all over. Although I would like to point out that the game does have a practice mode, which especially on the hardest difficulty, you're really going to want to practice all the stages, even the very first one, the Alaska stage on hard, because on heroic mode, on hard mode, there's a huge difference between that mode and the easy, which is now called Discover, and the normal difficulties. On the easiest difficulty, the game has 5 stages in it, but on the easiest difficulty, you only play the first 4. The 5th stage is the space stage, where you're basically assaulting this huge, gigantic space station out in outer space. And the game does have a story that goes throughout the game as you play it. I'm pretty sure from my playthrough, I didn't skip any of the cutscenes, so you'll be able to see the game's whole entire story. But basically, the first 4 stages you only play on the easiest difficulty, and then when you beat that mode, the game tells you to try normal difficulty for a tougher experience. On normal difficulty, you play all 5 stages, and on normal difficulty, it's not just that you play the 5th stage, but there will be more enemies on screen, and there'll be quite a few more projectiles. And on the 5th stage, you fight the first 2 forms of the final boss on the space stage, the 5th stage. It has 3 different forms, but you only get to fight the 3rd and final form if you play the game on the heroic hard mode difficulty, and that'll also give you the true ending as well. And that final boss, that 3rd form of the final boss, that's basically the toughest part of the game, in my opinion. That's basically a make or break for your entire run, because you have no way of replenishing your shield. But I should mention too, because I'm starting to ramble too much about random stuff. But so like I said before, and one more thing too about the hardest difficulty is that even compared to normal, the heroic hard mode difficulty has even more enemies than normal. And hard mode, the heroic mode, it was called hard on the previous update, or the previous version of the game, and then just recently it was renamed heroic mode for the most recent update. The PlayStation 4 version is still at the 1.00 version, and I'm assuming that's going to get the current build of the game. I'm assuming that's going to get a new update to kind of match it up with the PC and Switch versions. MSK?
Yeah. I'm still working on that. It's kind of difficult because I don't have a PS4 dev kit. That's some friends from Abeam Studio that did the port for me. And I have the build, but I still couldn't test it properly, so it's still not updated. Same thing goes for the Xbox One version, although I do have a dev kit, but the problem is that I don't want to do updates all the time because it's very, very stressful to update. And I have another problem that I'd like to fix on the Xbox One. Like many shmups, the game doesn't support arcade sticks because for some reason Microsoft made it very difficult to support arcade sticks on this machine, and I still didn't manage to get hold of one to make it work.
Jeez.
Yeah,
so
that's why. Microsoft being Microsoft, essentially. But so there's a few differences between the current PlayStation 4 version and the current PC version. The stream the runner that we're gonna watch is the PC version, but the version that I played first and the version that I ended up getting the platinum for before I started to actually play through the PC version was the PS4 version. And so there's a few small changes between that version and the current PC version. I think the biggest change is that the PC version and Switch versions have an in-game achievement menu or an in-game achievement gallery, which track your train.
There is a few balancing updates, a few bug fixes that you found actually. Thanks again for that. And I added in the achievements for the Switch, and I ended up making it that menu available on all platforms since it's actually useful on PS4. Usually on Steam you can just go to the Steam menu and look at the achievements, but on PS4 you can't see your progress, so it was nice to have it there. I hope I can make the PS4 patch soon enough.
Yeah, the PS4 version. All the trophies are functioning just fine, but some of the trophies are things like, destroy 100,000 enemies and, use. I don't know the exact numbers off the top of my head, but the game keeps track of how many enemies you've destroyed and how many supers you've used, how many bosses you've defeated, how many enemies you've crushed.
Okay.
But a lot of the stuff you can't actually see, like what percent of that trophy you're at currently. If like for something like the 100,000 enemies destroyed trophy, it'll pop up once you reach it. But
that's pretty normal.
Currently you're not really sure how close you are to keep to reaching that trophy for the current PS4 version of the game.
That's fine. I mean, these are all pretty minor details. Let's try to focus more on the game itself. In fact,
go ahead. I might try to explain the main game mechanic.
We got off on a bit of a tangent there. Just to go back to the main game and the main gameplay. Like I said before, you have 3 different color weapons. There's the blue laser, there's the green wavy weapon, and then there's the red homing missiles. So in PAWARUMI, you have like I said, you only have 1 life. You have a shield system. And once your shield goes down to 0, your ship explodes and you die. And it's game over. There's no continues and no extra lives or anything. But in the game, and you also have a super meter, and the super meter, it has 3 different levels to it. Basically, whether it's level 1, level 2, or level 3, when you use it, you can't, like if your super is at level 3, you can't do just like a 1 level super. You have to use the entire thing all at once.
Okay.
So when you use it, you fire out a ton of projectiles that fill up the entire screen, and it's a great way to basically clear the entire screen of enemies. It's a great way to really do a ton of damage to bosses really fast.
And you're just charging that up from just attacking stuff?
Say that again?
Are you just charging that up from attacking stuff then?
Yeah. It's I'll get to that in just a second. For the boost, the crush, and the drain system of the game. And people are wondering what does that mean if they haven't played it. But so basically, I would like to mention too that the super has. It'll give you while you're using the super, and like a little glyph, like an aura, will be around you, and that'll make you invincible for the entire time. For the entire time that the aura is around your ship. The super also uses a combo system. I think for every hit that you do with the super, you get something like 265 or 270 points or something like that. And you can, on some bosses, you can get over 1,000 hits with your super. So that'll give you, well over 2.5 million points. But yeah, let's talk about how to, like, basically what the three colors mean, and how to recharge your shield and your super. So yeah, in PAWARUMI, there's three different colored weapons, and enemies will either be red, green, or blue. So let's say, for example, the best way to do this is just give an example of an enemy. Let's say you have a red enemy, or a boss that's a red color. The game uses three different mechanics for based on which color you use. If an enemy or a boss is red, and you're using the red homing missile, you will boost the enemy and refill your shield. So what that means is, if an enemy is red and you're shooting with the red homing missiles, you'll do what's called a boost, and you'll slowly, for every hit that you hit the enemy with the same color, you will refill your shield. But there's a price to pay for that. It's not points or anything. But when you're shooting a red enemy with the same color, it'll kind of amp the enemy. It'll make the enemy start to fire projectiles out really fast at you. So there is a price to pay against doing that. So basically, in order to refill your shield, you have to shoot an enemy with the same color weapon that it is, and that's what's called boosting.
Okay.
And you'll refill your shield.
Got it.
And then there's and then for the super, you can also do the same thing with your super, but instead of shooting this the same color enemy with the same color weapon, if that enemy is red, you'll want to shoot it with the blue laser, and that's called draining. So while you're shooting the red enemy with your blue laser, you'll slowly refill your super. And basically the way it works is that if an enemy is red, you will boost it with red, you'll replenish your shield with red, and you'll train it with blue. Mm-hmm. And training means that you'll train. We should actually go over the words real quick. So boost means that you're replenishing your shield.
Yep.
Train means that you're replenishing your super.
Okay.
And then there's something called crush, and crush is where you maximize the number of points you get when you destroy an enemy. So if something's red,
more damage.
Say again.
When you crush, and that's why it's called that way, you also do much more damage. So It's interesting to make points, but I think the main use of the players will be to kill enemies faster.
Okay, so how do you crush?
It's a kind of a rock paper system. So you use the last color possible. So as the Clyde said, on a red enemy, if you shoot red, you gain back shield. If you shoot blue, you gain back super attack. And if you shoot green, you do extra damage by having a crush. And that color shifts with enemies. So if an enemy is blue, this time it will be blue that will be recharging, green that will be recharging the super attack, that will hit more.
Yeah, it's a cool system.
It's
like to see
way more complicated to explain than to play.
Yeah, I imagine you kind of get a feel for it as you play the game.
Yeah. It took me maybe about maybe about an hour or two. The most challenging thing for me was actually just remembering what button on the controller did which attack. Which it shouldn't. I mean, there's only three different colored attacks, but yeah, once you get used to that, it's actually really simple. You say red. If something's red, then red boosts, red replenishes your shield. So that's really simple. If something's blue replenishes your shield. And if something's green, then the green attack will replenish your shield.
Well, then you gotta memorize the different combos, though, for the different colored enemies. So.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, you only have to remember two for each, because if an enemy is the same color and you just shoot it with the same enemy to replenish your shield, but it's so So if an enemy's red, then blue will drain it, replenish your shield, and green will crush it.
Okay.
If an enemy's blue, then green will drain it to replenish your super.
Okay, got it.
And blue will crush it. And if an enemy's red, then everybody let's say red. If an enemy's green, then actually I think I just mixed up my colors. I don't remember what I said now.
To play it and saying it every time you try to say it, you just manage to mix it up. I always do. It has been 4 years.
Yeah.
So
it's really annoying on the PlayStation controller. The colors of the buttons on the controller actually don't match the colors of the weapons. You can change the buttons to so that they match, but the problem is that you end up having the super attack on the leftmost button, and then it's kind of easy to trip and press that button instead of one of the others. So we chose to maintain the same layout on all the consoles. There is only on Xbox that it makes sense, or if you play with an Xbox controller on a PC, where the red weapon will be the red button, etc. And on the Switch, it's all gray. So the first time I actually saw the tutorial of the game with all the gray buttons, I was in tears. I ended up making some auras around the buttons so that it makes more sense with the actual color of the weapon. And I guess it's useful also on the PS4 to see the button and the color of the weapon on the same spot.
Okay. All right. Well, I think we've introduced the game plenty, so let's get into this hour and 20-minute replay now. And yeah, so get the video at 0, and I'm gonna count us down. Soft drink, you still around?
I am indeed.
All right.
This has been quite interesting. The aesthetic of this game is really cool.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right, well, I'm going to do a countdown, 3, 2, 1, go, and we're going to check out the PAWARUMI world record for the PC Heroic Mode, 1cc, 103 million points from Dr. Light here, and we'll just be getting into that, and here we go. 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay.
Yeah. So nice menu. I had some fun doing that one. It's just 2D menus, but it was too annoying to have everything on top of each other, so I ended up putting everything everywhere. And wait, can I move the camera? And I just started moving the camera around it. That made for a funny menu.
Nice.
So here you can see the 5 levels that will be played in hard mode, and you can see in each difficulty the order that you will play them. It has quite some impact on the game, the fact that we change the levels. I mean, the first level is always the same. It's kind of like a training level so that you can feel what the difficulty will be in that mode. And then the fact that the levels are in a different order means that we balance them completely differently than in another difficulty setting. So it's more surprises.
Yeah, these cutscenes are actually all flashbacks, right?
Yeah, until you get to the last level. Yeah. So it's the story of how Axo, the best pilot of that world, got manipulated, and by playing with the hardest difficulty setting that you get to see by what she was manipulated, and then how you play actually the awful things that she did, and you end up getting the chance to beat the evil entity that manipulated you throughout all these bad deeds.
Yeah, it's actually a really sad story, with an even sadder ending once everyone sees the true ending of the game.
Yeah, we thought that since it's a game about destroying everything, having a happy story like in most shmups is just weird. You are blasting tons and tons and tons of people. So to us, it didn't make much sense to have something happy for this. We wanted to have an actual reason that wasn't completely monstrous from the standpoint of either the enemies or you.
Makes sense, I guess.
So yeah, this is okay. So yeah, this is the very first stage of the game. It's whichever difficulty you play, it's always going to be the Alaska stage. And like I said before, this is the hardest difficulty. This is the heroic hard difficulty. So we'll be seeing the full entire game, because you'd only get to experience the full game on heroic hard mode. If you play on easy, you only play the first 4 stages. There's 5 stages of the game total. And if you play on just the normal difficulty, you play all 5 stages, but you don't get to see the true final boss and the true ending. And actually, against the true final boss, there you can get a huge scoring bonus depending on how much of your shield and super is remaining. If your super is at full level 3, and when you defeat them, you get 5 million points just for that. And then your shield, if it's maxed out, you get, I believe, 10 million points for that. So you can get up to 15 million points just for defeating the true final boss alone. And every hit.
We really wanted to reward players that would play all the difficulty levels. The idea being that usually you just play one difficulty setting, like you play normal mode, but most players, not necessarily shooter players, will not have any interest in playing in hard mode. Newcomers will usually start with easy mode, and sometimes they don't bother with normal mode because it's the same thing. So that's why we changed the order, and we made the game actually kind of different by replaying it in normal mode and hard mode. So you get to see more of the game, and you get also to make much more points just because there is more enemies and that you can do much more.
So right here, I just used a level 3 super against the boss for a huge combo bonus. And normally I could get over 1,000 hits with that attack and, like almost instantly destroy the boss. But I play a little bit conservatively against that final boss because I want to go into the second stage here with a level 1 super just for defensive purposes. The beginning of the second stage, I sometimes have a lot of trouble with. And any stage you go into on hard mode, with the exception of the final space stage, and I'll explain why once we get to that, against the giant cannon. But any stage you go into, you want to have at least a level 1 super, just because it's so easy with so many projectiles on screen to get kind of cornered. And you can use that super to kind of bail yourself out, erase all the, destroy all the enemies on screen, and use the invincibility frames from the super just to protect yourself and get out of trouble. So as you can see, there's, compared to the other difficulties, there's not very many projectiles at this part, but here on the hardest difficulty, there's just projectiles all over the place, and it's, you get hit once, and then you're only 2 hits away from your ship being 0. But Yes, I have a lot of luck here on the stage too, because there's a lot of times where, at this part of the stage, you fight 3 tough enemies. The first one, the blue one's the toughest of them all, in my opinion. So I use that super to not just get a nice scoring bonus, but just to take them out quickly. Because if you don't take enemies out quickly at this part, they really start to fill up the screen, and then you're just gonna get trapped by bullets. So it's really important to destroy everything as fast as possible. And as you can see here, the green enemy, I'm using red to train it. So I'm replenishing my super, and red does it does the fastest for when you're training compared to like blue or green. But you just have to hope that the enemy is green if you want to train. Otherwise, you have to use a different color weapon. But yeah, this part here, there's I just destroyed the tougher blue and tougher green enemy, and then a tough red enemy is gonna pop up here right there. And I just mostly use the red homing missiles, just because they do the fastest amount of damage. And when you're boosting an enemy too, if you boost an enemy but you don't destroy it, when you go to crush it I just crush it with the green wave weapon right there. Before you destroy it, if you're boosting an enemy, it'll give you a huge point bonus before you destroy it. So when you use green to crush it, it'll give you an even bigger bonus than if you just use a different weapon and then crush it with green, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So you're kind of like juicing them up with the same color and then finishing them off with the super. Neat.
Yeah. Maybe I could explain how the scoring system works.
Oh yeah, so you want me to do that, or do you want to do that?
No, I'd like to do it. Yeah. The idea is that on many shoot 'em ups, your bombs, you often don't want to use them because the game gives you extra points for not using them, and sometimes you like in Radiant Silvergun, you don't want to kill enemies to do more points. It's weird. My goal here was in the scoring mechanic was really to have a system that lets you use everything that the game has to do extra points. So it's like 4 layers of gameplay, like maybe 3. I don't the first layer to get many points is the easiest one. Is you have to finish enemies with the combination of colors that do the most damage. That will give you a huge bonus point. I think it multiplies the score that the enemy gives you for destruction by 6 or something. Mm-hmm. And the second level of that's rather easy to get. The second layer of scoring that you'd like to use is use your super attack. So there's a combo system that Dr. Light mentioned. It shows up just above the ship, and it raises for each enemy that you hit. And I think for the more enemies you hit, you can see it right now. The more enemies you hit, the faster it actually rises. So if you are on a very strong enemies, since the shots won't disappear immediately, one shot can touch an enemy multiple times, and so increase the hit value, the combo value more and more. So you want to use it on very strong enemies like bosses, or on many enemies, just like in the section before.
Gotcha.
And so the last layer of gameplay is that since if you play well the game, you actually don't lose life or shield very often. But I don't want that part of the Trinity system that we have to be useless. So what I did was that if you hit an enemy with a color that is not the one that does more damage, for each hit, for each damage that you make to it, it will be more rewarding to do it with the the weapon that charges the super attack, and even more rewarding with the one that charges the shield. So that's why it's interesting to shoot an enemy with a different color, with either the same color or the color that charges the super attack, and then finish off with the most powerful attack.
Which is what you'd want to do anyways, so it just reinforces the system, it sounds like.
And at the previous part, you could see bosses that you can kind of milk in the game. They all have some sort of timer, and at the previous part, you could see the red lasers slowly closing in on your ship.
Cool. What's going on in this part?
Oh yeah, so it's a little bit like Indiana Jones. Basically, at this part here, I think best demonstrates the crush system. So you want to, for every enemy that you crush, it'll fall towards the bottom of the screen and crash into the giant boulder, and it'll push the boulder back. Because the boulder, if you otherwise, will normally creep up on you, and it can get really close. It can take up more than half the screen really quickly, and it can go all the way up to the top of the screen. So this part here, you really have to be careful and make sure that you're crushing as much as possible. For each enemy that you crush, it'll fall towards the bottom of the screen and slowly push the boulder back.
Yeah, that's fun.
Because it's I think too on the hardest difficulty that we're seeing here. That boulder will roll up to you really fast if you're not crushing enemies really quickly. So that part there, I did a pretty good job of just crushing, a lot of enemies to push the boulder back, because otherwise, like I said, the boulder will roll all the way to the top of the screen and it'll trap you and kill you.
Yeah, this boss looks badass.
If you run into the boulder, it'll kind of like grind down your shield, and if you get trapped at the very top of the screen by that boulder, it'll instantly kill you.
So this part is fun. Like this level is the most complicated level in the game, gameplay-wise. It's the level that really needs you to master the Trinity mechanic, the three-color system. So that's why it's the last level in easy mode, the third level in normal mode, and we put it right at the second level of the hard mode.
Okay.
And so in this part, the boss is actually challenging you. It shows you three colors, and then it tells you, please show me that you can do a boost or a crush or a drain, and you have to shoot the right combination of color on any of the cups. You can shoot the color that matches mine. But if you do it wrong, it will come back with one of the parts that you have destroyed. Like you see, like the head is just coming back right now. I believe Dr. Light is losing on purpose to make more points, right?
Yeah. I'm milking the boss as much as I can. But I would like to point out that for those wondering, for each part of the boss that you destroy, whether it regenerates or not, the points diminish every time you destroy a part on the boss. So when you whether you're crushing the, because you can like destroy the boss's head, you can destroy its arms, hit him with the super, but the destruction bonus, the crush bonus, it'll decrease in value for every for every time that you destroy it. So when you first destroy an arm or a head, it'll give you quite a few points, but then as you go on and on, the number of points that you get every time you destroy a part on the boss will decrease in value. So it's basically you're getting diminishing returns for every time you destroy a part of the boss. And then here I intentionally choose the wrong color, and it regenerates the boss's health and part of his body, and I'm just doing that as much as I can, just to max out the number of points that I can get during this fight. And there is a hidden timer. It's not. I don't show it here because I started to get nervous and I didn't want to have lasers start to close in on me and then accidentally like choose the wrong color and end up getting killed by the lasers. But after I think was it maybe 4? I'm not sure what the timer is. It's like either 4 minutes or 5 minutes, maybe 6 or 7 minutes. But,
I think about 3 minutes in, the boss becomes more. It has an aura around it. It makes more light because it becomes angrier and more.
The boss changes and becomes tougher.
Lasers come in to try to hit you.
So there's like a timeout phase, almost. That sounds pretty sweet.
Yeah, we actually made the timeout be part of the gameplay.
Normally it's just like the boss just does like a single attack, you know.
The lasers come from each side of the screen, and on this one they also come from the top and the bottom, so they slowly close up on you like the end of a Bomberman level.
Nice.
The lasers kind of form like almost like the shape of like a boxing ring. If the ropes on the boxing ring suddenly started to close in on the boxers.
I prefer the Bomberman example.
Yeah.
Really the idea, actually. I'm surprised he's not angry yet. It's actually quite visible when it has all the lights.
Yeah, and for this part here, I always if I want to use the correct color, I always keep track of the blue pod, and then it's just easy for me to remember just the blue one. I just remember blue boost, red crush, or I just think of orange crush, which is like a soft drink, and then obviously
orange
if it's not,
It's amazing, dude.
If the boss, because as you can see, the audio was added to the boss's voice in the most recent update too, where it'll say, either boost, crush, or drain. And yeah, if it's drain, I just remember, well, it's not the blue boost, it's not the orange crush, so it's got to be green. So that's just the way I always remember to drain anytime it says drain. But I always keep track of the blue pod, just so I can remember, right off the right quick which color it's supposed to be.
Yeah, I think you mentioned.
I believe too the color pod that you shoot, whichever color. I mean, it doesn't matter which color you shoot it with, regarding the color that the boss becomes. But if I shot the green pod instead of the blue pod, the boss would become green instead of blue. And if I shot the red pod instead of the green or blue pod, the boss would then change colors and become red. And I'm pretty sure the boss has slightly different attacks based on which color it is.
It does for the in this level both bosses. It's mostly the last boss that has more powerful attacks depending on which color it is. I don't actually remember for the previous boss if it has the head or not. The attacks are different, but I don't remember if the color actually has some impact on it.
I think it's very, very slight. But yeah, this is like I said, this is why I always make sure I always have at least a level 1 super going into each stage. Just because the beginning of each stage just throws so much at you, and you really want to keep your shield at maximum. Because once you get hit once, obviously you have opportunities to boost your shield back up. But if you get hit again, then your shield will probably be either on danger, because for your shield you can take up to 3 hits. Not up to 3 hits, but basically if you get hit 3 times and you don't boost at all, 3 hits and your shield's gone and you're dead. So things can go south quickly, and it's quite easy to be at a full shield and then suddenly you get hit once, and then you go to do something and you get hit again, and then suddenly your shield's flashing on danger, and then that's when panic can start to set in, and you can go from everything going perfect, everything going great, and then suddenly 20 seconds later your game's over. Although I think actually rewatching this, I actually don't think I was ever on danger this entire run, which I'm pretty amazed by because I got hit a lot during this run. But I don't think my shield was actually ever on danger during this entire run. And I have no idea how that happened, because usually, anytime I do a run on this difficulty, I'm usually on danger. I'm usually on danger like many times.
This level is the most difficult for me, I think. I don't know why. If I play it on training mode, it's rather easy. I can get through it easily. And if I play in arcade mode, like when it's the 4th level or when it's the 3rd level of hard mode, I always get to panic at some point. I don't know why.
Yeah, this next part, when the giant pyramid starts to, it's almost like Independence Day, where where tons of enemies just start to come out from the giant pyramid. Not this part here, but there's going to be a part similar to the last stage where just dozens and dozens of enemies just start to appear on the screen. It's really easy to get hit, once, twice, and then suddenly if you get hit a 3rd time, you're in deep trouble. And that part there always gives me lots of trouble, but I try to save up my level 3 super to use right away on the pyramid mid-boss, which we're going to see in about 1 minute. Also, the pyramid mid-boss, the color that you haven't seen it yet, but it's going to appear here in a minute. The pyramid mid-boss, you then fight it at the end of the stage too, where it connects to like a giant serpent robot or a giant snake robot. And the color that you defeat the pyramid mid-boss, the color that the pyramid mid-boss is when you defeat it, that ends up becoming the color of the head of the snake at the end of the stage. And you really have to be careful about which color you destroy this boss when it is, because the snake boss at the end of the stage will have different attacks based on which color it is. And
that's cool.
I think green, or which color is it? I think green is the most dangerous color for it to be. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head.
Or you just kill it with green, though.
It has 3 main attacks. One is with a laser. So obviously, if the boss is blue, since blue is the laser color, it will have more lasers. If the boss is red, I think it's the attack that it headbutts you, and if the boss is red, it will headbutt you twice in a row. People often get surprised by that. And if it's green, well, green is the attack where it kind of vomits on you bullets, and we made it vomit even more bullets.
Yeah, I think those bullets home in on you too. I think some of those bullets home in on you too.
Yeah.
And yeah, because that makes dodging really difficult.
Yeah, especially
when bullets are chasing you. But yeah, so this next part, as you can see, the pyramid will now fly into this giant serpent robot, and it never, the head never changes color, so whichever color it was, it stays that color the entire time. And there's actually cool achievements. It's a really tricky achievement to get during this fight. These red orbs that are flying out from the snake. There's an achievement where if you can keep one of these red orbs alive the entire fight and never destroy it, and it's so hard because it's so easy to destroy them. But if you can keep at least one of these red orbs that are flying around alive the entire fight and never destroy it, you unlock an achievement for doing that. But they only appear at that beginning part. So I just destroyed that last red orb that was flying around, so I can if I was going for that achievement, I could no longer get that achievement. So you have to keep them alive the entire time, and they're constantly flying left and right, and you just have to be super careful not to shoot it.
Yeah, that sounds kind of annoying.
Yeah. Is there any other benefit to doing that besides getting the Chivo? I gotta ask.
for keeping one of those red orbs alive?
Yeah.
I think each part of the snake on the first part, I think they generate, I think, 8 or 9 of those red orbs. So you can kind of, I could have gotten more points there. I don't know why I didn't, but yeah, I could have gotten more points there.
Oh,
And,
it'll keep making
just
those if you
shot
leave
all
one
the red
alive?
orbs before destroying the part of the snake.
Oh, the part, okay.
I am starting to get very nervous because I don't remember to put a limit on that, and I don't want to stop.
I think somebody on the Steam page, I think they said each segment of the snake will only create up to 8 of those jaguar cores, those red
Okay.
orbs up here. I'm pretty sure there's a limit on those.
In the code, it actually says 24, but I don't remember what the real value ended up being.
Maybe because there's I think there's 3 segments, so maybe it's 8 orbs per segment for 24.
Maybe.
And I just got hit at that last second, which was really bad. Which I never should have got hit by that.
So, what was, like, did you lose score for getting hit there at the end, or what was the consequences of that?
Nah, you don't get any additional points if you have like a full shield at the end of the stage, and if you're on danger or whatever. The only time your meter for your shield and super matter for points for being rewarded is the very end of the game against the final boss, against the true final boss battle.
And only in hard mode.
Well, you had mentioned earlier, like, finishing off bosses with supers, though, gets you a lot more points. Is that what you said earlier?
You don't actually want to finish them off with a super, but because bosses are bullet sponges, you can with your super you can get so many hits on bosses with your super that you can really do huge combos. But for bosses, you want to actually crush them with the appropriate color to get the huge destruction bonus when you actually do destroy them.
Okay, so that's super regardless.
The crush bonus is actually based on the amount of life that the enemy had at the beginning, so it's really, really huge on bosses.
Okay, cool.
So you really want, if you use your super attack late in the boss fight, you really hope that there will be 1 pixel of life bar that's still there, so you can crush it and get even more points.
Oh, so when you're supering, you can't super crush?
No,
it's a separate thing.
Yeah,
okay.
This super is kind of colorless.
Oh, okay, that's what the white was. Okay, gotcha.
We had 1 super attack per attack, like each all the weapons had a super version that you can fire by pressing the button twice. Everyone was using them right at the start because there is many people that actually don't keep on pressing the button. They just press many times, like in old school shmup.
Yeah.
So that was the first reason why we did remove them. But so what we did in the end, it has a 4th button that triggers the super attack, and we designed the super attack as being a combination of all the weapons. So it fires a lot like the green weapon, it goes through enemies like the blue weapons, and it homes on enemies like the homing weapon.
So for this part here, we're gonna see the timer trigger here in a few minutes. But this part here, I'm just using the green turrets just to boost them, just to get my shield back to max. And then, as you can see, once I get my shield back to max, I start to use red on green to drain them just to get my super back to level 3. And then I'm gonna use my level 3 super to end up hitting the 3 turrets in the middle. Just give myself a huge combo bonus. And then luckily, like what MSK was saying just a minute ago, I'm pretty lucky here because that red turret at the top, after I use my level 3 super, it has like just a tiny bit of health left. so I'm able to use green on the red turret to get the crush bonus. And I think does crushing, if you destroy an enemy with whatever color gives you crush, is it 6? It gives you 6 times the number of points.
Actually, I was checking the code to see what the actual value was.
Because when you destroy an enemy, training whichever color trains on that enemy will give you the least number of destruction points, and then boosting it will give you basically moderate value, and crushing. Yeah. I could think crushing gives 6 times the number of points compared to if you trained it.
How does that combo factor in from the super exactly? How does that work?
For the number of hits that you get, or
yeah, can you see that combo number?
Yeah, it's right on top of the ship. It's a red pink value.
Yeah, about probably
I see.
60 seconds. In probably about 60 seconds, I'm gonna use my level 3 super.
Okay.
On the 3 turrets in the middle, and the biggest reason why I don't, there's 2 reasons why I'm not attacking the 3 turrets in the middle. Once the overall boss's health gets down to a little bit less than halfway, the 3 turrets will start to go berserk, and they'll change their attack pattern, start to fire way more projectiles and way different patterns and styles. So I want to leave this fight with max shield,
right,
and not get hit at all during this fight. So yeah, we're gonna start to see here in a few seconds. We're gonna start to see the timer trigger, and lasers are gonna start to appear from the side of the screen, forcing the player to have to finish off the boss. So that way you can't milk points from this boss eternally. Yeah, every single boss in this game that has some sort of way to milk it has some sort of timer or some sort of mechanism, so that you can't just do it, eternally. And yeah, as you can see, these two giant cannons from the side of the screen, the trigger, the timer triggers, and they're basically forcing you to finish off the boss. So you're gonna see the level 3.
Oh wow! That right there, yeah, that was very close.
825 hits. So yeah, for you, I'd like to point out too that the number of bullets that come out from your super, I believe they double for each level super that you have. So you have your level 1 super, and then you have your level 2 super, and actually it does a triple. I think it actually triples. Mm-hmm. So your level 2 super will fire out 3 times as many bullets as a level 1 super, and your level 3 super will fire out something like 6 times as many bullets as a level 1 super. So if we're going for,
they're also faster, I think, so that you can reach to more enemies.
Yeah, and the timer and the invincibility frames, it lasts longer, so it gives you more invincibility frames. And when you have the aura, the glyph around you while using the super, you can absorb, not really absorb, but you'll basically nullify any enemy projectiles that are on the screen. So they'll just make them disappear right away, as long as that aura is around you while using the super. But also, when you get hit, when you take damage, that aura appears around you for about 2 seconds, and you can use that aura around you, right there, you can see the aura around me. You can use that aura to kind of get to a safe spot, or to quickly absorb any other bullets that are coming at you. You just gotta make sure that the auras are around you when you're doing that. Mm. Oh yeah, there's an achievement too for there's 3 different these things that are on the tracks, at the top of the screen. There's that non-colored or that colorless the part at the top, that connects to the boss at the end of the stage. And there's an achievement in the game for destroying all 3 of them. I destroyed 2 of them previously. I keep this third part alive just to give myself some extra points against the boss that's about to appear. I think if you crush during this fight, so these 3 parts right here you can see, I left 1 part alive. The other 2 parts I destroyed. They're about to open up and show the armor parts for the boss. Oh, maybe I left 2 alive. I guess I did leave 2 parts alive. So so for leaving the 2 parts on the boss, I'm gonna give myself more points because since they're colorless and when you destroy them, there's no way. When they first appeared at the beginning of the stage, there's no way to crush them since they're not colored. And now here you can see that the helmet is green and the left shoulder part is blue. So I now have opportunities to crush them for more points. But the downside though is that they shoot like really awkward, really annoying bullets. So there's more. It's more dangerous, to fight the boss with the armor parts on him than without. Than if they weren't on him.
We try to give a lot of choice to the player, so you can. They are pretty hard to destroy in the level because they have a lot of life. But if you manage to do so, the boss will be easier. But if you want to score, it may be more interesting to keep them alive so that you can crush them in the end. They are colorless indeed in the level. Every level has some kind of trait like that. Like in the desert, the fact that you can choose the color of the boss by finishing the mid boss with the color that you can actually choose what the boss color will be. The temple level, it has all kinds of tricks everywhere because there is all those different enemies. It's all based on colors. And in this one, there's those parts that are being built. Like the level is one giant factory, and they are building the boss that you are going to fight.
Cool.
Yeah, and for that boss, I used my level 1 super. Luckily, I didn't destroy him with the super, so I was able to get the crush bonus. But also another reason too is that I had no idea about this either until I got to this stage the very first time on hard mode. Is that at the beginning of the space stage, there's a huge cannon, and normally on normal difficulty, you can use your super to like instantly destroy the cannon. I had a level 3 super going into the stage the very first time. I used my level 3 super on the cannon. It did no damage at all to the cannon. So I wasn't expecting that at all, so I immediately died.
This first part of the level, we hesitated a lot if we kept it or not because it's really a big surprise every time the first time you get there, you always get very surprised because it's a huge laser that it fires. It covers the whole screen, so you always
You can see 2.04 seconds for left on the clock. If you don't destroy the cannon fast enough, and I found the only way to destroy the cannon before the timer runs down. I think it's like a 20-second timer, 15-second timer, I forget. But I found the only way to destroy the cannon fast enough with just your regular attack where the timer doesn't run down is to use the red lasers. Or the red homing missiles. So I just hold down the red homing missiles that entire fight. I don't ever switch to green or blue during the entire fight. I just stick to the red homing missiles the entire time. It's the only way at all to destroy the cannon before the timer runs down. On normal difficulty, you can use a super and destroy the cannon right away. But yeah, on hard difficulty, on heroic, you want to just hold down the red homing missiles the entire fight. But if for some reason the timer does run down and you have a level 1 super, you can use the super right before the timer runs down to give yourself invincibility frames. And when the giant laser fires from the cannon, you'll be invincible and you won't take damage from it. I think it actually does 2 hits worth of damage instead of just one hit when it hits you. I think it's the only attack in the entire game.
Instead of being a third, it's for half the life. At the beginning, it was actually your full life. You just couldn't escape from it, but it was too harsh on the player.
Okay. Yeah, I know it's the only attack in the entire game that'll do more damage to you than anything else.
Yeah.
Other than things like the giant boulder on the underworld stage, where if you get trapped by it, or if it rolls all the way up to you and traps you at the top of the screen, you immediately die. So yeah, this part here I got
actually get hit multiple times by the boulder. I don't remember if it's like the lasers when you gradually get hit, but yeah, if the boulder keeps touching you, you will lose life very, very fast.
Yeah. So this part here, the green. Actually, and there's an achievement here too, and there's so these energy cells that are all across. Actually, we should point out too that this is an entirely 3D rotational. Not entirely, but the beginning of the stage, the first half of the stage, you can rotate around the entire ship. Instead of the game just being kind of 2D. There's like a 3D rotational aspect to it.
Yeah, this is cool.
And there's an achievement for destroying every single one of these energy cells along the wall.
Nice.
You have to be really quick. You have to really save up your super, because there was a previous part too where when you started to fly up, there were a bunch of energy cells there too. So you have to destroy all the ones that are around across here. Or across there, that'd be the part that was just at, plus the parts that were at the previous part. So it's a pretty tricky achievement to get. You really have to be really quick and really use your super as well on it.
Nice dodging there.
Yeah, thank you.
It's so fast in hard mode when you boost this one.
Yeah, I actually find that using the red homing missiles on these three different three different cannons that I'm fighting here. I find that it's actually pretty easy because when it's red and you're boosting it with the red homing missiles, they come at you in basically a straight line, and they come at you so fast, like right there, that you just have to move just a little bit, and you immediately dodge them.
Yeah, it's kind of easy to dodge, but.
This part here is much tougher, but I'm not boosting, and I got hit right there. But yeah, so I used the blue on the green to get the crush bonus, and then I'm actually surprised I didn't get hit flying. I don't think the hitbox of those bombers is the exact shape of the enemy model.
Why do you use the supers on like those drop ships coming in?
Just because it basically just kind of gives me more hits than if I use the super against these satellite cannons. Yeah, because when they kind of destroy for just a second, I goofed that part up. I accidentally destroyed the blue with the blue, so that gave me less points than if I shot it with the red. Well, yeah, basically, when you use the super on those giant cannons, they kind of blow up for a second, and then when they blow up for a second, you kind of lose some hits from the super when they regenerate.
Oh, okay. Just building up the hit count.
Yeah, it kind of disrupts the hit count. Yeah, so for this part here, there's way more bullets to dodge on this part here than on the normal difficulty when you go through the stage. I always actually fly through this entire part the same exact way. I always use a level 1 super to get kind of skip ahead, and I always just kind of hang to the side. I'll drain that wall about halfway, and then I'll use this bomber ship, and I'll drain that to get myself a level 1 super, because I'm actually going to use my supers to kind of skip parts of these laser labyrinths.
Makes sense.
Just because there's certain parts that I have trouble with, it's really hard to get through this entire section without using a super in order to to get to the next part, in order to not get hit. I always use the super right there too.
Good
To
usage.
skip that entire. Yeah, I always use the super too to skip that part too, just because there's so many bullets coming at you. It's so awkward to dodge, and I always position my ship right here too, and I do the same exact thing. And you get a preview, like you can see in the background, you can see the color that the next fall is going to be. The next fall is going to be green, so I know that. So I'm actually going to use, I think, the red homing missiles on that wall there, because if you use the same color and you boost the wall, and on this upcoming part, the little they almost look like teeth. I think MSK described them as the canines. They fire they fire bullets at you really fast, and you can get hit pretty easily. And during this entire part, it's so important to go into this next the first form of the final boss with max shield. So I just use the red homing missiles just to destroy that wall really quickly. And I'm actually surprised how fast this playthrough is going by. It's just like this. It's going so fast, it's hard to mention everything. Yeah, so for this part here, I would use my level 2 super as soon as I see that I can damage the ring around it, just to get the first part out of the way. And then this next part, you just have to be careful because these auras will come at you from side to side, and you just gotta watch out. And there's actually, on the PlayStation 4 version currently, the 1.00 version of the game, there's actually a glitch where these auras right here during this fight, they won't actually damage you.
Yeah. We went really crazy on this level. Like we had rules during the development for the level design of enemies and stuff, and we purposely destroyed all the rules in this level. So that's the only level where enemies are able to change color. The only level where you rotate around stuff. It's the crazy level.
And I'm not sure, but I think when the boss here, when he's first forming his shield, or the barriers around him, I think if you have like a level 2 or level 3 super, I'm not sure, but I think if you immediately use the super as soon as he appears on screen, you can actually destroy him before you even have to fight him. But I'm not quite sure about that. I know you can get his health down really far, but I'm not sure if you can actually destroy him right away.
Yeah, the boss is actually quite weak. It's really the fact that he has those shields on top of it that helps it survive a bit.
Yeah, during this part, if once you destroy all the barriers around the boss, if you have a level 2 super and you use it on the exposed part of the boss, you'll immediately destroy him, and it's a pretty good way if you're playing on normal difficulty to basically immediately clear the mode. And if you're playing this stage on normal, so I'm gonna start to ramble a little bit, but the game has achievements and for clearing stages without getting hit, but you have to do it on either normal or hard. You can't do it on easy difficulty. But yeah, the game has an achievement for each stage where if you clear that stage without, if you can do this on the practice, the training mode too, where you can just select the stage and just play that for any specific achievements or just to play the practice. Although for each difficulty, once you reach that stage, you immediately unlock it for that training mode. So if you're like I said before, I got to this stage on heroic mode or on hard mode, and I died right away at the beginning against the cannon because I had no idea that my level 3 super wasn't going to damage it. But even though I died like 10 seconds into the stage the first time I got to it, I unlocked it for training mode, and that allowed me to practice this stage a ton just to get through because it's really tricky.
Yeah.
But so if you're obviously if you're going for achievements, you're gonna want to play the stages on the normal difficulty to get the clear the stage without getting hit achievements. And if you have a level 2 super and you destroy the barriers of this boss and you haven't gotten hit yet, as soon as the boss is exposed, you can use a level 2 super and you'll immediately end the fight, destroying the boss. Yeah, that's the best way to defeat this boss, without having to fight it multiple times, without having to have it reset its barrier multiple times. But yeah, for this part here, I really milk this boss as much as possible in order to get close to 100 million points. My goal here was to get, ideally, was to get up to 91.4 million points. Although I think 88.3 million points would have gotten me possibly over 100 million, depending on how I did in the next part, the next boss fight. So yeah, like I said before, not this boss, but the next boss, the next form of this boss, which is going to be the true boss, which you fight in the giant wormhole. Your remaining shield and super, depending on how much of it is left when you destroy it, will give you a huge point bonus. Your level 3 super will give you 5 million points, and your shield will give you up to 10 million points. So you can get possibly up to 15 million points just for finishing off the true final boss with the meters full. Although I don't think actually I've ever beaten the final boss, the true final boss, and then the next fight that we're gonna see in probably about 8 minutes or so. But I don't think I've ever defeated him without getting hit at least once. So I've never gotten the full 15 million point bonus.
Right.
But yeah, so I did the math, and if I got up to 91.4 million during this fight, I could get hit twice during the true final boss fight, and that would put me just over 100 million points. But if I only had like 88.3 million points, I could get hit once, and that would still put me over 100 million points. But ideally, it was to get 91.4 million points, because that would allow me to take 2 hits in the next part, and that would put me over 100 million points. And I'd like to point out too that in the next part, there's no way at all to boost or drain against the boss. So you basically just have to, whatever your shield is, whatever your super is, that's what it's going to be going in through the entire fight. And you basically you have no way of replenishing either during the true final boss fight that we're going to see here in a couple minutes.
Yeah, the boss is all 3 colors at the same time, so the system doesn't work anymore at that point. Like I said, we broke all the rules. It's really impressive how you go through this boss so carefully. So it gets very slow to watch, but it's really impressive.
Yeah, I didn't ever think that even like getting like 80 or 90 million points was possible. But then I played against this boss so many times, and I didn't realize that the cannons on the side would give, if you're able to crush them, that they would give 1 million points each, or at least 1 million points each. So then I started to think about it, like, hey, if I do this so many times, I might actually get up, close to where I might actually be able to reach 100 million points. And the nice thing about this part is that, I get hit a ton of times during this fight. Some of the hits are just bad luck. Other hits are I just take, really dumb hits that I should have dodged. But there's tons and tons and tons of chances to boost and drain to replenish your shield and super. And ideally, my ideal pattern for this boss, or color combination for this boss, is to have green cannons and a red center. Unfortunately, I get blue cannons during this formation. But so I started to experiment against this boss, and I found that if I had a level 3 super, and like when the boss does this attack pattern, or when the boss fires cannons straight down, like right here, and you never want to be in the middle here. If you're in the middle here, when the boss is doing this attack right here, you're probably gonna get hit at least once, or you're gonna have to use the super to get out of it without getting hit. But when the boss is firing lasers either straight down or to the side, if you have a level 3 super, it's not that difficult if you're to the side of one of the cannons to use a level 3 super and get over, well over 1,000 hits for like 2.7 million points or something like that. And then you just refill your super, go for another level 3 super, and you just repeat it. But you have to be careful. You have to kind of keep track of the damage that you're doing to the cannons, because you don't want to accidentally destroy them with like the cannon here is blue. So if you use red, you're gonna crush it. But you want to be careful not to accidentally destroy it with blue or green if you're trying to refill your shield or super. So here and as soon as you destroy both cannons on the side of the boss, it immediately destroys the barrier, and then the boss will be exposed for a few seconds, and then they'll create another barrier. I think it's up to 7 times that the boss will create barriers, or it's either 8 times with the very good.
I think it's 8. It was actually supposed to be 5 because I think I had buried it because it was too long, but it turns out I never did, so it's 8.
Yeah, and I make plenty of mistakes during this run, so if it was only 5, there's no way I would have reached 100 million points. It would still be possible to do a run with over 100 million points if the barrier only forms 5 times. But I would have to basically do like almost everything perfect throughout my playthrough. Everything it's funny because everything's going by so fast that there's like so many things I was gonna mention that I completely forgot. Yeah, just passed right by on. But that there I made a mistake. I actually boosted the cannon while I was firing right down at me, and I got hit by that just because the bullets come down so fast. So like right there you can see how when the cannons are firing the laser, you have a level 3 super. You just get to the side of the cannon, use the super, and it's not that difficult to get a huge combo over 1,000 points.
Right. So we had a question in the chat about the hitbox of the ship. Well, what's the hitbox of the ship like, anyways?
It's basically the center part. Like there is some kind of ellipse. It's actually the box is actually circle, but it's just that center part of the ship, the one that changes color every time you change weapon.
Okay.
So it's like green circle right now. Green, blue now. Whitish.
Cool.
Because your ship changes shape based on which color attack you're using, it would be really awkward if the hitbox was like the exact shape of your ship, since it has like three different shapes that it can have.
Could probably be less fun also if it was that big.
Yeah, that would be annoying. Definitely.
Yeah. The hitbox of the bullets also are a bit smaller than what they look like, but it's a bit more fun to touch. And the hitboxes on the enemies, there are actually a collection of circles also. So like on those big lasers, like 3 or 4 circles in a row. That's why it's not exactly the same shape.
Yeah, thankfully for pretty much all shmups, the days of the hitboxes being absurdly, just ridiculously huge are long gone. This isn't like a Gradius 3 anymore, where your hitbox is like just enormous.
Yeah, I think it's bigger than the ship itself.
Yeah, it's Gradius 3 Arcade is just one of the most annoying, most irritating shmups to ever play. I love the Super Nintendo version, but the arcade version, wow, it's like the designers designed that game just to make people angry.
Oh boy.
Oh, it was arcade games at the time. You want people to put more money into the game, more coins, and that's one of the reasons why we even put continues in the game. We are not here to take your coins. We want to play and have the best experience of the game. I really think that when you put just more coins in the game, it doesn't show you what the game actually is, because you are not playing the game, you are just putting more coins in the machine.
Right. Thus the concept of 1CCing.
Yeah, it feels really different.
Yeah, if actually, it's funny if this game had a life system instead of a shield system, I think it would actually be much more difficult. Even with with the shield system only giving you one extra life, just because I know like during this playthrough, I think I get hit probably at least like 20 times during this playthrough, but I have so many opportunities to boost against enemies to replenish my shield that I never actually die. But if the game had just like a like a life system where if you get hit once you die, my game would be over well long ago.
That's one of the things that we changed quite early in the beginning. Like in the beginning of the game, of course, you had lives. We were just starting making a shoot 'em up, so we just did the basics. And after a few months, like 3 months in the development, we started thinking, okay, what's actually very cool in the shoot 'em up? That's dodging, that's shooting, that's not power-ups, that's not lives, that's not all that stuff. So we kind of started working on that Trinity mechanic so that the game feels more tactical and more original. And so
it works perfect with the 3-color system, because it gives you one of 3 reasons to shoot an enemy a certain color.
And so the shield system is actually pretty close to the usual 3 lives that you get. It just means that you can't have 4 or 5, but the enemies hit you for a third of the bar. It means that if you are hit twice, and then you find an enemy with the same color, the little bit of life of shield that you get back is enough to be able to take on one more hit. So it's a lot smoother to play that way, I think.
Right.
Yeah, I've had plenty of times where I would take 2 hits and then I would immediately boost against an enemy. It would give me just a little bit more than a third. It would basically just barely put me out of my shield being on danger, and then I would get hit again, and if I didn't boost just for that 1 second, I would have died.
And we are always showing you when you are about to die, like the ship starts blinking red, and I think the shield bar also changes color to show you that really you should boost, you really need to. And that's also why the recharging the shield is made with the same color as the enemy. We wanted it to be the combination of color that has you think the less, like it's the thing that you have to do the fastest to not die, so we made it the easiest.
That makes sense.
Yeah, the shield will start to flash red. It'll start to flash the word danger on it, and yeah, your ship will start to flash red too, just to let you know, hey, you have to do something to get your shield back, beyond danger. Otherwise, one more hit and you're dead. So yeah, for this part, I think what happens after the I think I only do 7 barrier cycles here, but I could do up to 8. Well, I had the number of points I wanted going into the end of the 7th formation, the barrier formation, that I didn't want to risk, accidentally dying at the next part, because I would have to. I didn't want to just get 100 million points. I wanted to get 100 million clear, because if you get over 100 million points but then actually die on the run without clearing it, I feel like it kind of like cheapens the score and kind of makes it like it's legit, but it's not legit, if that makes sense, if you actually die during the run and get the game over. But yeah, so for this it's not going to be this formation, but the next formation, I'll get up to 91.3 million points, I think. And when you destroy the exposed part of the boss, it gives you an extra 100,000 points. So I needed to get 91.4 million points in order to have it where I can then get hit up to 2 times in the true final boss fight to get over 100 million points, because I was going to go in with it with a level 3 super and a full shield. So
right.
I didn't want to risk accidentally having something horrible happen during the 8th formation. So yeah, this is the final formation. This is the 7th formation. I could reset the barrier formation one more time, but I didn't want to risk it because I had everything all set. I had max shield and max super when I end up destroying this barrier and destroying the boss. But yeah, when the boss is exposed, as we've seen 6 times before this, it just kind of floats up there at the top of the screen. It just kind of shoots a bunch of bullets all over the place. After the 8th barrier formation, it'll no longer create any barriers. It'll just stay there forever at the top of the screen exposed, and it'll shoot tons of bullets really fast at you. It's like a timer, you know. It's just saying, hey, you can't milk my barriers anymore. Now you have to destroy me. So yeah, there is you can't just do this what I'm doing here. You can't just do this forever. After the 8th formation, and this is the 7th formation of the boss creating barriers, you then are basically forced to destroy the boss. I'd like to point out too, I was going to mention this earlier, when the boss is creating the barriers, and these are all parts of the ship that you destroyed earlier that it's using as a shield, which is really cool. The boss almost uses like a vacuum where when the boss is creating the barriers, it'll slowly suck your ship up towards it while it's firing those colored glyphs out at you. And I always do the same exact thing. I always start off at the very bottom left of the screen and then slowly drift to the bottom right of the screen and then upwards to the top right of the screen. Because when you're being vacuumed in by the boss when it's creating those barriers, the glyphs actually will fly. They kind of track you, but the glyphs will actually fly right towards your ship, where your ship would be. They kind of keep track of where your ship is going, and if you're flying too fast, the barrier, the glyphs will like appear and land like right where your ship is going to be, and you'll get hit. So if you go a little bit slower, you won't get hit by them. So yeah, for this next part, I'm gonna, I have 90.6 million points. If I crush the green cannon here, it'll give me 1 million points. So that'll put me at 91.6 million points. And my goal here was to get 91.4 million points going into the true final boss. And that's the very first time I fly over the top of the boss. I could have done that so many times before.
The best dodging is above the enemy.
Yeah. Yeah, I could have done that so many times before. So yeah, so the boss is now exposed, and I'm gonna destroy him. I slowly chipped his health down, but I didn't want to chip it down too much earlier in the fight, because I was afraid if I accidentally used a level 3 super and accidentally hit the exposed boss, I would end up destroying him way earlier than I wanted to. So there's actually quite a few things. So this is the true final boss right here, and the first 10 times I fought this boss, I got just completely destroyed. I was getting annihilated by all of the bullets that were just all over the place, and I couldn't figure out hey, I'm only lasting 20 seconds against this boss. How am I supposed to survive all this stuff? And after I did a couple of live streams on YouTube just practicing against this boss, I was looking at patterns. I was looking at the patterns and trying to figure out hey, what can I do so I'm not getting killed? Because I was fighting the boss at the bottom middle of the screen and just getting blown away by all these bullets. And I was watching my replays, and then I noticed that at the very top left of the screen, there's a little bit of a safe area where bullets are still coming from there, but it's not as packed, it's not as crowded It's at the bottom part of the screen. So I was like, hey, if I wonder if I try this. If I when these weird like circling trails of bullets are flying all over the place, if I hide up here and kind of stay safe up here and then come down while the boss fires these like these little walls of bullets, I can like kind of slowly chip away the boss's health and then kind of stay safe up here and just get the boss down to where it takes forever, but I can actually hit the boss and then fly back up here and be safe and then fly back down when the easier to dodge bullets are coming, although these are still kind of tricky to dodge. So I always fight this boss the same exact way, where I always hang up at the top left of this part right here and wait for the pattern to stop and then wait for this pattern to appear. And I'm hoping we're at the same exact second. And then I'll fly down, chip the boss away, chip the boss's health away a little bit, and then fly back up top here. And as soon as, I'd like to point out too, I have to do this real quick. As soon as the boss gets down to about 80% health, like where the boss's health bar is right here, it's going to change attack patterns. It's going to throw out these 3 green-purple balls. So like you have to hug the left side of the screen, come down, because if you touch those purple balls, even when they're flying out at you, they'll damage you. So you have to really be careful. You have to really keep an eye on the boss's health. Hug the screen, come down, and then just kind of, this is the part where you can really take.
Oh. Is it me or did we just lose you?
I think we may have just lost him.
The boss is too powerful. Maybe we should pause. Or maybe I can out of battery.
Yeah, we'll see if he's gonna respond here. If you can hear us, Dr. Light, we do not hear you.
He was from his phone, maybe his battery died.
Could be possible, we've been going a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, the boss is going back and forth attacks. This is the final attack. Too bad, that's where he got
Okay,
hit. He was really close to getting maximum points from this boss.
So you took that hit there, and then there's the big bonuses.
It should have been 10 millions. And so you get to see the final explosion. We made it really key.
We made it, but Dr. Light didn't quite make it.
He won the battle, but not the war.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at.
That's actually also the ending of the game.
Yeah, I'm gonna kick him from the Discord because so that he can maybe rejoin it.
Yeah, actually, maybe if he just rejoins, it would be back.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a pretty crazy run, I say.
Yeah, it's really careful he is in that last part, so it lasts forever. But yeah, it makes him manage to get that far in the game and to get such a big score. I was really surprised the first time in that sentence. I should have think about something, because now reach for the top of the leaderboards when you make the doesn't make any sense. I didn't think of that.
It's also a bit of like a mood whiplash there, right? Like you know, the ending is kind of sad, but then suddenly like, congratulations, evil has been vanquished. Like it sort of snaps back a bit. Yeah, really cool game.
Thank you.
Definitely a lot. Like the visual style is much more dynamic than I was expecting from some of the screenshots and the very limited gameplay videos that I've seen before.
Yeah, it's really hard to convey the style of the game in screenshots. You really have to see it moving, especially all the special effects. They kind of lose all their power in screenshots.
Yeah, I like the look of the stages overall, and all the effects and whatnot.
So this was hard mode, and it's actually really hard. Yeah, you get access to a gallery with each achievement that you unlock. So since he's playing from the Steam version right now, he hasn't unlocked all the achievements.
Got a question. Are the leaderboards merged on the versions?
Not in the game. So on Steam, it's just a score from the Steam players.
Okay.
But on the website, I also show the scores, and it's a score from the Switch and the PC version. I would have added the Xbox score also if the API wasn't so crazy. And I tried to get the PlayStation scores also in there, which would have been nice since there is one of the world records in there. But I never managed to get it working. It's the API, it's not made for that. So we got back to the light.
He's back.
I'm back. I don't know what happened.
All right. Well, yeah, you seem to finish up the boss nicely. So yeah, congrats on the finish there. Great run. GG.
GG.
Oh, at what point did you guys lose my voice?
Like
Around the end of the part that you dodge very slowly, the first two attacks.
Okay, I didn't even notice. I didn't even notice that. Is it possible to replay that part?
I suppose. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Just find the time, I guess. Let's see.
should be around 111, 110.
Was it
He was past 80%, so probably
Yeah.
at least 112. Probably more like one.
I think it's exactly 112. Yeah. Yeah, it's exactly.
Yeah.
Sure. All right, 112. We'll go back to 112 here.
112? Okay.
0-0.
Um,
And then I'll do a countdown so we can get back on that. Okay. We're all there. I'll count us down.
okay, I'm at 112.00.
Yep.
Okay.
Me too.
3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, so yeah, we're redoing Sparks. I got disconnected. But anyway, so yeah, once the boss gets down to about 80% of its health, he shoots that purple balls out, and you want to then hug the left side of the screen, because when the purple balls fire out, if you get hit by them when they're coming at you, or even when they're on screen, they'll damage you. So you want to hug the left side of the screen, go down to the bottom left, and then just kind of hang out at the bottom middle of the screen right here, and the bullets at the top will come straight at you, so you just have to do subtle left and right movements. And I use the red homing missile pretty much this entire fight, just because it seems to do more damage to the boss and takes down his health a little bit faster than if you use the blue red laser, a green wavy attack. And I just hang out at the very bottom of the screen, and where its health is right now, where the boss's health is right now, if you can get the boss to do this attack pattern again, you can really, it's very beneficial, because as soon as the boss's health gets down to where that like angled square is in the middle there, so where the about 60% down, where the boss's health is down 60%, where that little angled open square box is, it'll start to fire the lasers out. So if you can get the boss to fire out those purple balls one more time before he starts to spray all these lasers all over the place, you can get his health down much further than when he starts to fire the lasers out.
Gotcha.
So yeah, for this part here, you just hang out at the bottom of the screen. You just kind of do little subtle left and right movements. Just hold down the red homing missiles the entire time, and just hope for the best.
That's all you do.
And if you get hit, and I got hit once there, I kind of use my the aura for my temporary invincibility. I use the aura to kind of absorb a few of the lasers just to make them, so they weren't a danger. And yeah, so I got hit once, so my shield went down by 1/3. So instead of getting a 10 million point bonus, I got a 6.66 million bonus from the shield.
Right.
And I had a level 3 super, so that gave me 5 million points right there. So I got you get I think 300,000 points for destroying the boss. So, that was like an 11.9 million bonus overall for the boss fight. So that put me over 100 million points, which I was super happy about. And I'd like to point out too, if anybody's wondering, hey, why don't you just use the super against the boss in that fight? Yeah, the super doesn't damage the boss during that fight. It'll give you invincibility frames, but it's a little strange because when you hit the boss, You can do one hit. You can do one like a one hit combo for the super against the boss. But when you hit it that one time, the boss will cease firing lasers at you. But then it'll freeze. It'll stay invincible until your entire super wears off, and then it'll just start to attack you again. So there's really, not really much benefit at all to using a super during that fight unless you know that you're going to get hit and possibly die. And then we just saw the game's, rather dark ending.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, that was quite the run. GG once again.
Yeah, really congratulations. Since the release of the game, I hope that someone managed to do 100 million points. I knew it was possible. You did it in a different way than I was expecting. And it's really
yeah, thank you. And here, we don't get to see Thomas's face, but we just saw, Daniel's face right there, MSK's face right there for the hard mode, the hard difficulty score, beating the score.
Nice. Okay, guys. Well, I think that gave us a pretty good picture of what's going down in this game and whatnot. Suppose we can have our final thoughts now before we wrap up. If anyone in the chat has any questions for anyone, MSK or Dr. Light, feel free to throw those in now or forever rest your peace. Otherwise, I think we'll wrap it up here.
So, if the fact that if the question is if the fact that you can milk the boss was planned, yes and no. No, in the sense that we never expected the players to actually milk bosses. Probably because no one in the team enjoys playing for so long. Should we usually go the quick way. We just made sure that the players wouldn't be able to make infinite scores. So we made sure that all the bosses ended up at some point, and we just inputted random values into how long it should last. We just checked it wasn't going forever or going any crazy scores. It was a bit more than expected on that boss. I really thought it was going to have only 5 times the shield and the lasers, and turns out it's 8 final version. So yeah, it takes a while.
But at least there is a limit though. And here's a message from you.
Really would have took forever if it wasn't finished. You can really stay there with the technique that you have for a really long time.
Yes.
And this was a Kickstarter game too.
Yeah, that was in 2017. We wanted to add some extras to the game, so we would have made the game without the Kickstarter anyway, but that Kickstarter enabled us to have those cutscenes with the beautiful artworks from the bosses in between scenes, and also that kick-ass portrait of Axel, the ship. How do you say? the pilot, and a few extras, and pay ourselves for a few more. So.
Yeah, for being a small team, the game has tons of polish to it, and the graphics are pretty amazing. I mean, the desert stage is my personal favorite stage. The Egyptian, or maybe it's an Aztec themed pyramid theme. But yeah, the game just there's just so much to like about it. The graphics, the music's great, the bosses are great. It's just the Trinity 3-color system works perfect. It's just a great shmup.
Yeah, I like that. That was a kind of fresh gimmick. I like the Trinity system.
We have been making games for more than 10 years when we started, so really making the game was the easiest part for us. was selling the game that was actually the thing that we feared the most. So that's why it's so polished. We went a bit overboard. It shouldn't have been that ready.
Yeah, it was great. It was great to watch.
I found out about the game. I found out about the game through East Asia Soft and PlayAsia, because I think before the game was officially released on Steam or any of the consoles, they had a tweet asking, hey, there's this game called PAWARUMI. How would people feel about a physical edition of this game? And yeah, the replies were all super positive, and then that's when I first found out about the game.
Yeah, they released our PS4 physical edition. It's quite nice. There isn't any more to start, and hopefully the Switch version will be awesome too. Physically, I mean.
Yeah, and the Switch version now runs at 60 frames per second, and compared to 30 frames per second, which is a gigantic difference between 30 frames per second and 60 frames per second.
Yeah, it was really hard to get the Switch version running that fine, so that's why I ended up releasing it logged in at 30 frames per second, so that all the parts run not. It used to jump back and forth between 60 and 30, so it was really, really annoying, really weird while you played to see the game run better and then slower, and it was even worse in TV mode. That's also, I think some parts were running slower than 30 frames per second. So I worked on it for more than a year to get everything to run perfectly, and I released that patch in June. So now the game is finally what it should be on Switch.
Yeah. Plus, plus with the recent update, it's got the in-game achievement gallery, and it has all the bugs and balance fixes and everything. Not really balance fixes, but has like I know there are a few small changes, like with some of the boss timers and everything.
Yeah. The timer for the temple ship, all the boss. Yeah, it's a bit
shorter.
Yeah, it's shorter. Yeah.
Okay.
It's 5 minutes instead of 8 or 10 or something.
Yeah.
That was great.
Probably a good call. That went on for a while, but
yeah,
I like it.
The previous owner of the normal world record. Well, I mean, he might be still the owner, Yami. It's a French player, and he really asked for their shorter milking possibilities because it was too much.
Yeah, I think when I noticed that the cannons against the second form of the final boss could give so many points, I think I was watching, was it Fran Freaky or Fran Fricky or something like that? I think I was watching a playthrough of him. It was either him or I think there was somebody on YouTube named Yomi or something Yomi Y-O-M-I.
Yeah, his name on YouTube is that's Yami. Yeah, that's the player.
Yami, yeah. It was one of those two guys who I was watching their playthrough of hard mode, and that's when I saw at one point one of them crushed the cannon and gave 1,000,000 points. And I was like, wait, I didn't know the cannons were gonna get so many points. I think I actually might be able to get a gigantic score, milking this boss.
Frantricky was the first player to beat the hard mode.
Yeah, it's really challenging. Like, it may not look it from watching that run, but that took me probably. It took me probably just to get to the fifth and final stage. It took me probably like 8 or 9 tries after I played normal difficulty so many times, just to get to the final stage, and then to actually clear the mode, it took me well over 20 attempts. But I was also going for a high score at the same time too. So, but yeah, I practiced the final stage a bunch of times because I wasn't really having much trouble with the regular part of the stage or the second form of the final boss. It was the boss in the wormhole where I couldn't figure out, like what to do at the beginning of that fight, and because I was just getting annihilated within like 20 seconds. And then I watched my replay, and that's when I realized that if I hang out at the top corners of the screen during the first part of the boss's attack pattern, that it's actually pretty safe. And it's funny too, because that's when I noticed too that, and this has been fixed in the most recent update, that I could my ship would clip through the fog of the wormhole, and the ship would still be, the ship would still take damage if it got hit, but you would lose sight of the ship for a few seconds from it clipping through the wormhole.
Yeah, the wormhole is animated, so we didn't notice it in that part. You could get outside of
But easy mode was really easy. Normal mode, it took me, I was able to get to the fifth, the space stage pretty easily. But the space stage took me, especially the laser labyrinth section, it took me a lot of attempts and a lot of practice to figure out how to get past that stage, or how to get past that section. And then the first and second form of the final boss took me, not so much the first form, but the second form took me a lot of practice just to get used to the boss's attack patterns and how to best fight that boss and everything.
Still, you are very good at shoot 'em ups, because when you say 20 tries, I'm impressed. I expected actually even more tries to get that far. I've been playing shmups since pretty much since I was a little kid. Since I was born in 1982, so I've been playing shmups since the Atari 7800 days. And the first shoot 'em up that I really started to play a lot was Life Force on the NES, and then I've just been playing shmups like all the time ever since. So.
Very nice.
But those are, Life Force has a mix of horizontal and vertical stages. I'm a lot better at horizontal shmups than I am at vertical shmups for some reason. But I just, when I played PAWARUMI, I was just like, this game is awesome. So, I just set out to, on PSN profiles, no one had gotten to platinum yet. So I was like, I want to be the first person on PSN profiles to platinum this game. And I just loved playing the game, and, played it like nonstop for like basically 2 months. And, just got so good at it. It's just like, I think I could actually, set the world record, which I did. I actually have a PS4 live stream on YouTube of 70-some million points, I think, maybe 60-some million points. I forget exactly. And then, when I saw the thing about being able to crush the cannons for 1 million points, I started to think, I wonder if it's actually possible to get over 100 million points.
Nice.
And I was having trouble with my PlayStation 4 system is downstairs, and I'm sitting at my computer here upstairs, and I have Wi-Fi. I use Wi-Fi from my PS4 downstairs, but on my PlayStation 4, 60 or 70 million live stream that I did, like during the second form of the final boss, I started to have connection issues with my Wi-Fi, and so for that stream, the resolution, just to keep the stream from disconnecting or stopping, the resolution for that stream dropped to like 360p or something like that. So the rest of the end of the stream is really blurry. So for the 100 million run, I didn't want to have that issue again, or to have it where like my connection would just basically get disconnected or stopped. So I just played the PC version. Plus the PC version is the more, it's the most recently updated version of the game. So it's like the final version of the game. And my computer is connected directly to my modem. So that that would minimize the chance of me having any type of connection issues. So I did the PC version instead for the 100 million run.
Very nice.
Before you started playing on the game, I think the world record on hard mode was around on all platforms. I think it was around 40 million points. So when you got to 70, it was already crazy.
Smoking.
Yeah, it was like 48 million points or something like that. There was, I think that the actual, like, first score-wise, the official record was like 56 million, I think, by Yami. But that was only a normal difficulty. That wasn't the hard mode difficulty. One nice thing too, I want to say about the game is that for the achievements and the trophies, pretty much no matter whether you're playing well or playing poorly, you know, if you're having trouble, no matter what you're doing, you're always working your way towards at least several achievements, because there's a lot of achievements for, you know, crush so many enemies, or, you know, destroy so many enemies, you know, defeat so many bosses, use so many supers, you know, etc., etc. So no matter what you're doing, you're working your way towards, you know, the other achievements in the game. So it's really beneficial no matter, you know, if you're playing well or having a tough time, or if you have a bad run. No matter what you're doing, you're making progress towards the game's, you know, the achievements.
Cool.
I just noticed Gus's question about how did I pull the Switch version at 60 frames per second. There is so many tricks I pulled. I could talk forever about it, so I'm not going to get into all the details. There's so many things. One thing I may mention is that the last trick I pulled to really get to 60, after everything I had done, there was still parts of the game that would slow down a little bit, and it was going back and forth between 30 and 60. So what I did was implement a pretty aggressive dynamic resolution system, so that the UI is the interface of the game is still rendered at full resolution, but on the Switch it can drop, I think, 25% in quality of resolution for a short amount of time, just to maintain the 60 frames per second.
Wow. Good stuff.
It's really so many tricks everywhere in the game. It's really optimizing each section of the game one by one. Really took forever.
Yeah, that Nintendo Switch has been challenging developers, it seems. As time goes on.
It's mostly a tablet, so it's not that portable. And the actually most surprising thing I had during development about it was that it overclocks when you dock it to play in TV mode, but it actually doesn't overclock enough. So like when you go to 720p to 1080p, you need 4 times the power, and it actually overclocks only 3 times. So you have to really optimize for it.
Yeah.
It gets real. But then you have to get to do nice things on the Switch. That's one of the things I love. It was so easy to, it's not powerful enough, so you have a lot for optimizing. But you can pull funny stuff with it. You can read the color of the Joy-Cons. The Joy-Cons send to the console what color they are.
Yeah.
So that's why I added on the Switch version menu, so that you can choose a different version of the ship, where the different parts of the ship are colored according to your Joy-Cons. So you can kind of make your own skin of the ship by just changing the Joy-Con.
Nice detail.
I wish more.
Oh, go ahead.
I just wished more games used those features.
Yeah, I've heard about that feature before. It's cool. Forget with what though. Okay, guys. Well, I think we are going to finish this one out. So I do thank Dr. Light MSK for coming on to the episode. This has been highly educational and very informative.
Thank
And,
you very much for having
Thank
us.
you.
You're welcome, and do hope people try out PAWARUMI. It is available on all the systems, so feel free to check that out. And yeah, soft drink.
Cool game.
Yep.
Great run.
Yeah, it's funny because even though the run was, an hour and 18 minutes, it just went by so fast. Like, there were so many things I was gonna originally say, and then just went by so fast. It's just lost the chance, before I could say anything, just because I would start to say one thing and then start to go on, and then the moment would already be past where I could talk about what I was going to mention specifically about that.
That's always
one
how
part
it goes.
of the game or whatever.
Yeah, you can always feel free to leave us some additional information on the YouTube video. And today we did have a lot of frame drops in the stream, so do look forward to the YouTube video. That will be smooth. Other than that, I think that's going to be it for us. So do have a good rest of the weekend, people, and keep playing shmups, and we'll catch you next time. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye bye.
All right, bye.